But here we also have participants of our IT forum. There are some people who work with us offline, and I hope that there will be a proper, fruitful discussion. We've issued our explanatory note, and we pointed it out that last year in Khanty-Mansiysk, there was the 15th General Assembly of the Northern Forum, upon the results of which the governor of the Khanty-Mansiysk Autonomous Region Yugra, Natalia Komarova, signed a list of requirements for the executive branch of power of our region to work together with the Secretariat of the Northern Forum to improve our structural work, to improve our project work, and we have accepted the declaration with the priorities of the Northern Forum stipulated. And here is a point in this document that is expedient to create an international expert group on IT agenda in regions. So today, we tried to invite both representatives of the executive branch of power of our regions, and also we tried to invite experts who work in this field in different countries. And there were people from 5 countries who decided to attend, from Russia, the USA, Iceland, India, and China. And I must say that a great help was rendered to us in searching for these experts. This help was rendered by our goodwill ambassadors, who are leading experts in their own fields. Some of them are globally famous professionals. They are from 7 countries, and they made their suggestions, upon which we created this initial pool of experts, of this international group of experts. So we may have this international group of experts set and ready and working. So far, there are 26 people who would like to participate in our event, both offline and online. But before continuing our work, I would like to tell you about the Northern Forum, at least in brief. How can I put my presentation on the screen? I need some help, please. I need some technical assistance. Do I have a remote? So there are few slides. I would like you to understand. So here it is. I would like you to understand what Northern Forum is. It's an international organization set up back in 1991. And it was initiated by the then governor of Alaska, Walter Hicker. And the peak of this organization was back in the 90s, when the borders were open, when there was great desire to learn about each other. And the regions of our countries, of the newly created Russian Federation and other countries, prior to that, they had no contacts with other Arctic countries or with Asian countries either. So that was a period of getting acquainted with each other, and we worked out together how we could cooperate. And at that time, 25 regions of Russia, China, Mongolia, Japan, Korea came into our organization. And during these 33 years, the situation in the world has been changing. And accordingly, the number of members have been changing. We had fewer members and more members, and the largest crisis was back in 2010, 2011, when we had only 9 regions as members in our forum. And it was connected with the global economic crisis at that time, when everybody was so much concerned about not spending money. And then in 2014 happened what we say in Russia, the Crimea became ours. For example, all regions of Canada left the organization, and in 2011, the Republic of Sakha, Yakutia, became the chairman of our organization, and it dramatically improved the situation. And we brought the secretariat from Anchorage, Alaska, to Yakutsk, in the city of Yakutsk, the Republic of Sakha, Yakutia. There was a lot of work, and there were ups and downs. Nevertheless, the reputation of the Northern Forum has always been clean. We've been treated as trustworthy, and up until now, we do enjoy this kind of reputation. And after the pandemics, there appeared a certain growth despite sanctions, despite bad relations between the Western countries and Russia, despite international cooperation being almost entirely stopped, yet we've been increasing our potential. No, the remote doesn't seem to be working. Could you put the next slide on, please? Here we have the map of the Northern Forum. At the moment, we have 12 member regions, 10 Russian regions, and there is the state of Alaska and province of Kangwon in North Korea, but they are passive members so far. And they have not left the organization so far. They are still in our organization, and we hope that this year Tomsk and Arkhangelsk will join our organization. They are prepared for that. We've been discussing it with them where we could do that, upon which venue we can do that. And also a region from Mongolia decided to join in, and we've been discussing the details. A lot of support is granted to us by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation. Minister Sergei Lavrov sent his recommendation to the 15 regions of the Russian Federation, and 5 of them have already joined. 10 more are working. They do have some doubts about that. We do not have the observer status, and so far we've been negotiating it with them. And after the stoppage of cooperation in the Arctic, we've worked out new roadmap, new plan of working with other countries, and we moved to the Orient. We've been working more with the Oriental countries. Last year, we had a lot of events in Mongolia. This year, on the 19th of May in Harbin, within the framework of Russian-China Expo, we conducted a forum Russia-Northern China, and it attracted attention not only from the regions of China, but also other 6 countries, including such countries as, for example, the Republic of South Africa, became interested in that. And representatives of Japan actually asked us to conduct an event of our Northern Forum in Japan in 2025. So there are good prospects of development. We've been working hard in this direction. And we have to say that from the beginning of the setting up of the Arctic Council, the Northern Forum is an observer in the Arctic Council, and there are only 39 members in the Arctic Council, 10 countries and over 20 organizations, and the Northern Forum is the only observer in the Arctic Council, the headquarters of which are on the territory of the Russian Federation. This is a unique situation, and when the University of Arctic and other organizations stop cooperating with Russia, Arctic Council still invites the Northern Forum to participate in their activities, and it improves relations between the members of the Arctic Council. We work with the working groups, and it is a very good chance to participate in our joint project activities. We also have the status of the observer in the Framework Convention on the Climate Change, and we are permanent members of the largest scale conference on climate change. This year, this conference will take place in Baku in November, and we can form our own delegation. We can participate in the sessions, we can organize the sessions, and we have the status of the observer on the environment. They used to support our project activities very much, and I hope that will be the case in the future as well. And we also participate in the joint activities with Roscongress in the Russian Federation. We have the right to form our delegation for economic forums on the territory of Russia. So we've been increasing our potential despite different sanctions from the West. And the last 3 years, we've been improving our structure as well. The highest policy-making body is the Board of Governors, and they meet annually at the General Assembly or at the Governor Summit. This year, we have a Summit of the Governors, and there are also collegial bodies, like, for example, Regional Coordinators Committee, secretaries, ministries, ministers for foreign affairs, and the current activity is discussed by the Secretariat. There are several working groups working in different directions, and I hope there will appear yet another expert working group. And we started opening up a network of offices in different countries, in Iceland, Lapland, Alaska, within Russian Federation, and we have a partner in Iceland who is very active. That's the largest Arctic information portal, and we work with them outside the limits of the Russian Federation. There are also business partners from, for example, Norway, Iceland again, Alaska. They preserve their status of business partners. We also have business partners from Japan, but they currently stopped their work or suspended. And we have other very active structures which participate in working with us. and for example, the Northern Youth Forum, and we have young people present here. The Northern Youth Forum was created back in 2021. We had this May a scientific conference on Arctic, and I hope you participated in that. And we also set up a consortium of Arctic research together with Far Eastern University. And the rector of our university from UGRA is a co-chairman of that consortium. And there are quite a few scholarly organizations and universities who would like to join this consortium. So far, the countries are Russia, China, and India, but we can see interest from Indonesia, the Philippines, Vietnam, and other countries. So that is in brief, that is kind of an introduction to what Northern Forum is. And I wanted to demonstrate it to our experts who we invited and whom we would like to see in our expert working group. And of course, all this information is present on our site. And here we have the priorities of our work. That's our declaration for the General Assembly. And the third point here is digitalization and decreasing the digital gap, bridging this digital gap, and that is directly linked to the subject of our discussion. So now I'm going to go over our agenda. We can switch off the presentation, take it off the screen. So I would like to conduct our work as follows. First, I will introduce everyone, or the experts should introduce themselves. People who are working offline can present themselves from the pulpit over here. And if you are online, please give us your name, your field of research, your field of interest, your affiliation, and why you are interested in participating in our work. So we'll set aside this time for introductions. But before doing that, I will introduce the offline participants of our sitting. And the first is Yuri Kolesnikov, the first Deputy Director of the Department for Information Technologies and Digital Development of Khanty-Mansiysk Autonomous Okrug, UGRA. Next to me is Roman Kuchin, the Director of UGRA State University. And here in the room we have Alexey Klevtsov, the Director of the Department of Strategic Marketing for Consumers Experience and Design of the commercial bank, Almaz Invest Bank, from the Republic of Sakha-Yakutia. Nikolai Abrosimov, the head of the project office of Ayana. He is also from the Republic of Sakha-Yakutia, but works in Krasnoyarsk region at the moment. And our guest from India, I cannot see it properly. Indirarai Dodio, the head, the director. Yes, he is the boss of two companies, and now he's working at St. Petersburg, and he works with artificial intelligence, right? And I would like our online experts to take turn and introduce themselves. So I see Andrei Kostin. Kostin Andrei from Novosibirsk, a research fellow from the Economic Institute of the Russian Academy of Science, and I'm Deputy Dean of the Department of Economics. and I work with information technologies, digitalization, and I head the digital business direction. Alexey Brysenkov, are you here? Andrei Brysenkov, I can see that you are on, but can you hear us? Andrei Brysenkov is the director of the Russian Hydrometeorological University in St. Petersburg, and he is the representative of the rector in Moscow. Ilyas Mayorov, are you here with us? Not yet. Игорь Марчук.
Игорь Владимирович Марчук, это я.
That's me, Igor Marchuk, the Dean of the Mechanical Department of Mechanics and Mathematics of the Novosibirsk State University. Thank you very much. Alexey Pinetko. Apparently he's not here. Maxim Shishlenin. Maxim Shishlenin, professor of the Russian Academy of Science and the deputy director of Mathematics Institute in Novosibirsk. Thank you very much. Professor Haiyong Zhang. Yes, apparently he's here.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. I'm a professor from Ocean University of China. I'm work on something about the artificial intelligence and deep learning, especially the applications for some ocean applications. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Gao Feng, Professor Gao Feng.
Okay, I'm Gao Feng from Ocean University of China. I'm an associate professor. My research interest is remote sensing image processing and artificial intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Li Xingui. Yeah, am I right to pronounce it like that? Mrs. Li?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's me. Hi, everyone. I'm the Vice President of Dalian New Software University of Information, and I'm responsible for the construction of the smart campus. It's my pleasure to have the opportunity to participate in the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Aniket Vicharia from St. Petersburg. Hello, I'm a student of St. Petersburg University, and I deal with marine issues. You speak Russian very well, thank you very much. Professor Sanjeev Singh from India, University of Delhi. Apparently he's not here, but we hope. Hadr Johansson from Iceland informed us that he will switch on later, and he's the director of the Arctic Portal and business partner of the Arctic Forum. Svetlana Kovaneva. Not yet. And Vera Ptitsina from Sakha-Yakutia. Good morning, colleagues. I'm from the Innovative Fund from the Sakha-Yakutia Republic, and I'm happy to see all of you here, and I will be glad to know more about you. Thank you all very much. I wanted everyone to introduce themselves because it's our first session, and some participants are here without presentations, but it would be great for you to know about each other, to hear each other. On the whole, we will listen to several presentations of the invited experts. What issues they deal with.
Достаточно исчерпывающую характеристику, что интересует региональное правительство в этой сфере. И хотел бы предоставить Юлию.
And we will discuss various issues today. And I will now give the floor to our first speaker from the Department of Digital Technologies Development. Good morning, dear friends. I'm happy to welcome you at our anniversary 15th IT Forum. Every year, this forum brings together a huge number of experts and participants from different countries who are ready to share their experience and discuss problems. After this forum, as a follow-up to it, many agreements are signed on various areas of digital transformation. For example, yesterday, many agreements were signed by the government of the Autonomous Okrug and other countries. Yes, thank you. That's my first slide. So this forum is extremely important, as has been noted. We have some problems with the budget, as previously mentioned, and it's not necessary for every region to invent digital solutions from scratch. If some solutions have already been developed, it makes sense to share them to save the time and effort. So I'm sure that sharing opinions and experience that we have here makes it possible to take a huge stride forward for our country and for other participants. Now, I would like to share some practices and skills we are developing in UGRA. Yesterday, it was also mentioned, and as has already been mentioned, UGRA is one of the leaders of digital transformation. And we are the leaders in this ranking by the Ministry of Digital Development. In 2018, we centralized our IT efforts in UGRA, so all digital transformation is now led by our Department of Information Technologies and Digital Development. Through this unification, we were able to improve the quality of digital transformation and cut costs. We can now identify the areas that truly lead the industry ahead and develop it. This is about profound transformation of business processes and the structure of corporate governance. So this is one of the national goals set by the presidential decree. As for the digital solutions that I'd like to mention, something that our Okrug is proud of, unfortunately, I will not be able to list all of them because it would take days. There are over 100 information systems in our region, and they are all unique. But first of all, I'd like to talk about our information system for UGRA education. This information system brings together all areas of education. So it includes all levels of education, preschool, school, and additional education. There is a personal account for parents, where a parent can look at all the children's profiles and the grades, hobbies, and so on. And there is a portfolio for school students where parents can see the grades and participation of the children in Olympiads, additional courses, and so on. This platform contains a lot of data, and we are implementing AI technologies here to build individual education paths. This platform is integrated with federal level systems. And also in a parent's personal account, there is this great function because we received many requests and questions from parents about food at school. So here, parent can order and pay for an individual menu for catering for their children. So a parent doesn't have to go to school and pay it on the spot. A parent can just order the necessary food from their phone, wherever the parent is, and they can pay for it online. Another industry, another area that we are very focused on is healthcare. So we are now using this single platform in the area of healthcare, having combined more than 15 very small platforms. Healthcare is a complicated subject. There are many fine details. I've been working on that for 4 years now, and I'm still discovering new things because it includes laboratory studies and instrumentation and many processes and many regulatory frameworks, and sometimes federal level regulations hinder digitization. So we are working at the federal level as well. We make speeches at federal forums, and this is how we achieve progress in Yugra healthcare, because we make people's lives easier if we do that. So we have the following information systems that I would like to mention. We have the regional information system called Patients Portal, where you can find the necessary professional, and you can access your medical records. So you can go to the regional portal, and you can see the results of all lab tests performed for you, and it's quicker than waiting for a doctor to call you with test results, and then you can get an appointment with the necessary healthcare professional. We are now working on a single healthcare information system to slightly change the business processes and switch to new technologies and be proactive about providing healthcare services, so that, for example, when you do a test and there is a deviation, you shouldn't be monitoring that. A robot should call you and tell you, for example, that you have a high blood sugar level and you need to get an appointment with a doctor. We are probably going to implement it next year. And another thing we have is the Central Archive of Medical Images. We have created this combined database of all MRI, CT, and other images that are all in the same place now, and we were able to implement artificial intelligence tools that help doctors with the diagnosis. AI emphasizes which images to focus on, because, for example, early stage neoplasms could be missed by a doctor, but the artificial intelligence can tell the doctor where to focus, where to look. And this makes it possible to identify deviations earlier, thus improving the chances of curing the disease. More than 1,500 medical images are added to the Central Archive every day. So now this is already an incredibly huge archive, and it keeps growing, but it's important and it's necessary, and we will continue to maintain it. Next, in 2018, we developed a neural network called Vika. Is the sound okay? Okay, so our neural network processes more than 80% of all incoming calls to number 122 and 118. It's a virtual assistant that made it possible for us to avoid missing any calls. So if you are calling a hotline, and you used to have to wait for an operator to answer, but now Vika, the neural network, answers you, and some calls do not even reach the operator because the neural network can answer them. If it cannot, then it will switch you to the an operator. So we now have 0 missed calls at these hotlines, and it really helped us. In previous years during COVID, Vika would call patients with lab test results, because if we had to use healthcare professionals to call patients, it would be impossible, to take too long. And another thing we are actively developing in healthcare is the Unified Center of Diagnostics. So all images now get to the central archive, and we now want to create a methodology and a framework of this Unified Diagnostic Center, Unified AI Diagnostic Center, because we have larger and smaller hospitals. We have a clinical hospital in Khanty-Mansiysk, but it cannot be compared to a small hospital in Yugorsk. All hospitals have X-ray specialists, but some doctors look at 1 X-ray per day and others look at 100 X-rays per day. So the workload is different, and doctors are different, and the quality of medical services can also vary. So we are now creating this unified center, and we want to distribute the images between all X-ray professionals in our okrug. They will be at their places locally, and regardless of where a person is physically, a system will distribute an image to an X-ray specialist whose workload is the lowest at the moment. The professional will describe the X-ray, and then it will return to the patient. This will enable us to evenly spread the workload and reduce the number of mistakes and errors. Actually, many AI technologies are even now able to correctly identify neoplasms in 82% of cases, and this percentage is improving because the models are self-learning. Last year, our president, Vladimir Putin, gave instructions to ensure support to research centers in the area of AI until 2030 to create large language models. So without further ado, we created such an AI research center at our Yugra University. We have dialogue services, and we created neuro assistants. They are presented at the main presentation booth at Yugra Expo. So you can go there and have a look. We have neural assistants in various areas. One of them is an assistant to an executive. Our country is now actively developing the economy of data, because we want to govern all industries based on data. We have lots of data, but it's impossible to analyze and process all data with only human effort. We used to have less data, but now we cannot do without technology. So our generative executive assistant can analyze data from all regional networks it is connected to, and it can advise the executive what to focus on. Because when you, for example, when you are a leader at governance level, it's useful if you know which areas are doing fine and don't need extra attention, and which areas require your urgent attention. We have also created a neural assistant on information security, and colleagues from other countries have visited us to discuss this. We don't have enough information security specialists in Russia. We have even created such a department at our university because we have a huge amount of data, and this data needs to be protected, and we don't have trained professionals, or rather we do have them, but not enough. So we need to start training them now so that in 5-6 years they will be able to protect our data. So such a neural assistant will help the existing professionals with routine. For example, an assistant can check different areas of attack and alert a human that, for example, a penetration attempt has been made. Also, we have created a neural assistant for the oil and gas industry, especially for hard to recover reserves. This assistant can read academic papers and formulas and advise what needs to be done. It's like an ecosystem. It's not just, look, I've read a new paper. No, it's a system for sharing opinions where students and experts can share their opinions. And we have also told colleagues from 3 other countries who visited our university. This is extremely relevant for UGRA, for our region, because we are an oil and gas region, but this can be adapted to any industry like agriculture or some kind of support measures. This is a system. We have created the system, and the content can vary. You feed it the data, and then the generative language model will self-learn. So we can share this experience, and we can share this system that can be used in other areas. Another information system that we are proud of was created last year, and this is an information system for indigenous peoples of the North. It's a single digital passport where indigenous peoples can look at their account, can have access to all support measures, can apply for them. We have now unified it with our system of information and communication, so it's now safe to share personal data. This system has been commissioned. It covers 100% of traditional nature use areas where 5,000 representatives of indigenous peoples live. And we have issued over 4,000 extracts. We have received positive feedback from the public and from the Ministry of Digital Development, so technical work continues. And there are over 25 regions in our country that could also be interested in this information system, and we have already received requests from them so that they want to start using it, give it a try. But such a system can be used not only in Russia, but also in other countries, because it's always relevant to provide support to indigenous peoples. So some other countries got interested and said they would like to sign an agreement, and then we could just provide the system to them for rolling out. And the last thing I wanted to emphasize is the transportation area, which is also being actively digitized. We have created an information system that takes into account the number of passengers and the routes. So we have already connected many entities to that. Passengers can now watch how buses move, and we are also working on connecting the railroads to the system. For example, you can be in Khanty-Mansiysk and you can access this unified portal, and for example, you can just say, I want to go to Belyarsk, and the portal, the system will provide you relevant information with current prices and an opportunity to buy a ticket. We are also using artificial intelligence and we have many specialists in artificial intelligence who participate in this session and in other events. So we have implemented AI to control the condition of the roads, of the road surface. And we are now going to purchase several AI modules. So we will install such a device with video surveillance on a vehicle, and this vehicle will just drive on the roads, maybe transport passengers, maybe just drive, and this AI system will identify the quality of the surface and the existence of road signs and the marks on the road and so on. And this information will then be reported so that our road maintenance services could schedule the work to fix any problems. We are also implementing a monitoring system for traffic violations. We met a Deputy Minister of Digital Development, and he said that we had no problem with parking space in Khanty-Mansiysk. But nevertheless, people sometimes park their vehicles where they shouldn't because they don't want to walk an extra 20 meters. But we really do not have a problem with parking space. So we are now implementing a project or automatic registration of parking violations. And this information will be automatically reported to the road traffic police, because citizens must realize that everyone must follow the rules. We will purchase these devices soon enough, and soon it will be rolled out across our municipal formations. So these are the key areas for us. We're also doing a lot of social work, but as I said, I could go on endlessly. That's all I wanted to say, and as already mentioned, we are ready to cooperate and share experience, so please contact us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yuri Stanislavovich. A very interesting presentation. And we understand what your priorities are in terms of digitalization. And as you correctly said, it is impossible to discuss everything. And of course, these are the most interesting points you've raised for our expert community. For example, the system of video monitoring and parking spaces are quite a pain for us as well. And I understand that other representatives of the executive branch of power from other regions have not been too active. We wanted them to make their presentations as well, but I think that your presentation reflected the general directions of work in our regions in general. And when we have listened to all the presentations here, we will have about an hour for open discussion, and I do hope that there will be questions and answers from our participants. So, dear participants, please do not think that we're here on the scene, on the stage, and you are in the hall. It does not mean that you cannot have a voice, cannot have a saying. Let's imagine that we are sitting around one table and we are discussing all things openly. As it is our first meeting, we only give you some presentations to set the floor for further discussions. And now I pass the floor to the representative of the Russian Asian Consortium, and I think he will be able to tell you about the participants of this university consortium, what they do about digitalization. Good morning, dear participants of the conference, and I'm happy to greet you here in the city of Khanty-Mansiysk. Yes, it is very important of the work of our Northern Forum is this Russia-Asia Consortium of Research. For quite a while, we've been working together with our colleagues from the Northeastern Federal University, and this consortium was agreed upon with the Ministry of Education of the Russian Federation, and our initiative was appreciated because this Asian direction of our work is the priority for Russia now. So when the international community discusses general questions on our agenda, different challenges and threats faced by different countries, we understand that these challenges are similar and we should share our experience. We should think about this experience, and that will create a synergy of working for all of us and would be helpful to all the participants of this process, which can be seen on the level of our consortium. At the moment, we have 13 universities, and there are more universities willing to join. Some of them would like to be full-fledged members, others would like to be observers, and they have to undergo specific procedures. Our consortium was created back in 2022, and we conducted a lot of sessions together. We presented our consortium in India, and people became very interested over there, and we made agreements with different universities of India, including the direction of information technologies. But basically, IT permeates all directions of our work. And we can see the digitalization of education, for example. We have online education, although it is not always all that useful and all that fruitful, but still it is very important and we have to deal with it. And that is why we prioritize digital education. Besides, all scientific, all scholarly research are basically impossible without IT support. We still have the progress going forward, and as it has been mentioned today, we have the corpus of Mansi language created, and right now we've been working out a corpus of Khanty language. So these are IT solutions for linguistic research. They're very important from the viewpoint of preservation of indigenous languages, and we do have a lot of experience to share over here, and I hope that our colleagues can use our experience and share their own experience as well. And again, that will result in a synergy of cooperating between ourselves. Besides, we have this project of IT nomadic settlement, where we guarantee internet access to nomadic settlements, and children who could not go to school still can take courses online, and their parents can participate in this process. And after that, these children come to boarding schools or to ordinary schools and continue their education. But they also can get educated in their nomadic settlements as well. And it is a brilliant idea. We can share this wonderful experience with anybody willing. Yet another important thing is to put together all the phases and challenges, all the threats and challenges faced by our executive bodies, by our universities, by our businesses. We should understand when we build, for example, smart cities, when we should understand what role the universities could play in the regional developments like that. And universities should be of help to the regions they are located in. And we are ready to participate in these processes. We already established a network of institutions participating in such work. We have a specific chair working for over 10 years. We react very fast to the demands of our potential employers of our students. We can conduct specific research for them, and we have received specific requirements from our partners, and we teach students in information security who are taught specifically for that region, for those purposes. So we have wonderful plans. We are going to work out solutions, and this venue we are at can assess our work, and I hope we will be able to find new ideas, to identify new problems. So far, we do not deal with such problems, and we may not even understand that there are, but we will be able to understand them after our meetings. Thank you very much. And of course, all of you understand that the 15th International Forum with the SCO countries and BRICS countries is a huge event, and we have different sessions running in parallel, and the Department of Information Technologies of Khanty-Mansiysk UGRA is one of the major agencies working here, and Igor Stanislavovich is invited to many sessions, so he will have to go, and we should use the opportunity while he's still here. So if you have questions to him, you'd better ask these questions right now. Maybe you have some questions to him, whether you are offline or online. We can set aside time for these questions. Online participants, you can raise your hand. You can, this button where you can demonstrate that you've raised your hand. Yuri Stanislavovich, I wanted to ask you a question. You said that not everything is possible to be discussed within one presentation, but yet, can you specify some problems you have not resolved yet, or you would like to resolve with the help of the international expert community, which we are going to set up today? Well, there can be no insolvable problems. We have to solve them somehow. But as for sharing experiences, sharing views, sharing ideas, that is the most important thing we could do. And I think that this is the venue which is very important for us, where we can share our views and where we can deal with all aspects of digitalization. So in brief, no, I cannot think of a specific problem right now, but I'm willing to consider any of your ideas and suggestions. Got it. Let me rephrase the question then. What achievements do you have in digitalization, in IT, which you are proud of, where you lead the industry and you would like to share the ideas? Could you formulate it somehow differently? Do you mean our research? We can talk about these nomadic settlements. We can talk about methods we use in health insurance. We have the ecosystem. We can talk about that. We can disseminate that experience for different subjects of the Russian Federation and to other regions. We have neural networks in other sectors. We have monitoring. We use these artificial intelligence and neural networks to deal with the photos taken from the space. And we received an award from the president. He said openly that we are one of the cutting-edge regions here. We can look at the flora of our region from the space and notice the changes in the flora. And it is very important for both the nomads and for the forestry industry. And the recognition is much better rather than can be made by the humans. And we can process a lot of those pictures taken from space using the neural networks. The neural networks can treat 8 times more rather than the humans can. So if we see that there is no permit for cutting down forests, but we see it from the space that this area has been cut down, we can find those criminals, we can catch them red-handed. And we can share this experience with the other regions of the Russian Federation. So our neural network can follow all these things. Thank you very much. Yes, please.
Смотрите, по поводу мультиязычности, мы так как все-таки свирегиональное решение, основное направление.
As for multiple languages, we are not translating it into other languages, but we have this migrant application. We deal with the people who migrated to the Russian Federation, and it supports 6 languages. And we've been modernizing this application to put more content. So if there is any requirement, you can ask us. We can give you this platform within a certain agreement, and we can translate into different languages. It's quite easy. The most important is to work out the processes, and to translate into different languages is just details. Business process can be very different in different countries, but we should discuss these nuances. We should work it out together and work out the joint processes of cooperation. And I do not think it is a problem. We should just get together and make an agreement. Let's just send each other emails and discuss how actually we can do that. If there are no more questions, we can continue our work. And we can go over to the presentations from our invited experts. Thank you very much for this active participation. And Roman promised to come back. And because of that, well, I'm not quite comfortable here alone, and I would like to invite Mr. Dodia and Mr. Abrosimov to come here to the Presidium. You have the microphones for your presentation, and you've got the text of your presentation. It will be more convenient for you. We go over to the next session, to the panel presentation of priority development. suggested by the international group of experts. And the first floor is given to Andrei Broksenkov. The director of the Russian Hydrometeorological Institute, the representative of the rector over there, with the subject of preparation of International Polar Year 2032-33.
Уважаемые коллеги, добрый день.
Good morning, dear colleagues. I'm now trying to share my screen so that you could see my slides. Just a second. Yes, we could see your slides, and I hope you will be able to see them again in a moment. Just a second, please. We can see them. So my speech is mostly devoted to preparing the International Polar Year, and it is closely associated with the global issues of the environment and the cryosphere. And solving these problems is definitely impossible without digitization and creating a digital database and processing this data. And my second key point is that the Earth, according to Vladimir Vernadsky, our famous scientist and academician, the Earth is a self-regulating system. The biosphere has undergone many changes during the development, but eventually it always returned to its initial state. So according to Vernadsky, the climate on Earth is changing naturally over millions of years, even though Western countries have suggested a new green way to combat the climate change, and it's still popular in the West. Although many popular systems of electrical energy generation are not sustainable in essence. For example, I was traveling from Moscow to St. Petersburg yesterday, and the ticket I got said that a train ride, as opposed to driving a car, reduces CO2 emissions by so many kilograms. And when I was taking an electrical train, a Sapsan, but it's not exactly true, because they don't take into account the operation of boiler houses that belong to the Russian railways, various stations and other facilities. So if we look at this Green Deal thing globally and take everything into perspective, put it into perspective and take everything into account, then it's very doubtful. And Western countries have invested too much money in this new Green Deal at the moment. So, of course, many Western economists have vested interests in forcing these new values on Russia. The program, Russia's Green Deal, developed by Greenpeace of Russia a few years ago, that is aimed at achieving environmental neutrality, was not approved by the ministry, because this program didn't take into account the specific features of Russia and doesn't correspond to our national interests. So this global agenda promoted by the USA and European countries ignores the features of energy landscape development in Russia and in most other countries. BRICS, CIS, and SCO countries can oppose to this forceful promotion of the Green Deal agenda promoted by the USA and Europe, because this agenda reflects the economic interests of the West. This agenda and its ideology is based on ignoring the cause and effect relations of the global energy processes. As opposed to the Green Deal, we suggest and propose the White Deal, which means which is similar to the White Book that contains a detailed report on a certain subject. So we suggest initiating a global project on changing the current state of mountains, the Arctic and the Antarctic, which is an essential ecosystem of the planet. And we need to assess the measurements and plan for its further development. We suggest protecting the biosphere and the cryosphere in the interpole format. It means conducting scientific research in the Arctic and in all poles of the Earth, including the third pole, which includes Hindu Kush, Karakoram, and the Himalayan system. And that also includes our colleagues from Brasilia. They have mountains in the south of Brazil. And of course, this project should involve neutral countries. The mountain systems contain essential elements of the cryosphere, which are the indicator that reflects changes on the planet. Changes in the cryosphere have a considerable impact not only on the local communities and the ecosystem, but on the Earth as a whole. The Arctic, the Antarctic, and mountain systems used to be considered separately, and there is no shared global framework for looking at these areas of our planet. So to understand where the temperature trend is moving, where the environment is moving, it's hard to make such conclusions, which is why we suggest creating a database of knowledge from various poles that would bring together experts from different regions. The key task for the Arctic region is ensuring communications. And I'm now moving to this digital element. We need to monitor the occurring climate and environmental changes. So we need to create to make these measurements, to create the global database. And we need to monitor the impact of the climate on the unique ecosystem of the Earth, specifically the Arctic, and to prevent the irreversible consequences of human activities in these areas. So what we have developed, we suggest combining into a single product an aerostat and a quadrocopter. And so this combination of an air balloon would monitor the cryosphere and the pollutants. And this air balloon would be combined with a quadrocopter. This device would combine the benefits of balloons and copters, and it would act almost as a satellite. Most unmanned aerial vehicles are constructed as multicopters, and they cannot stay in the air for a long time, while balloons are quite expensive, and such airships are quite expensive, but a combination of these two devices can stay in the air for about 2 weeks. There will be copter structure in the center, and the balloon itself would be covered with solar panels, solar batteries to charge quadrocopter's battery. It will not be discharged too quickly because of the high altitude. And it will be possible to take measurements. So we suggest not fighting the climate, but integrate the scientific method into these efforts. And one of the key tasks of our council is not trying to change the environment in the Arctic, but to adapt and create and ensure good standards of living for the indigenous peoples of the North. So within this format, we suggest conducting the International Polar Year. We have gotten this initiative approved by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and another ministry. We've held several events in South Africa and Norway. We submitted a concept note from Russia to the head of this initiative in Norway about conducting the International Polar Year, because Western countries started preparing for that back in 2021. So it would be wrong to prepare for the same event separately, since without Russia, without its huge polar areas, this entire idea would be absurd. A few words about the history of polar years. The previous polar year, according to the experience of previous polar years, it takes about 10 years to consolidate the efforts of all the ministries and agencies and collect enough projects from Russia and from friendly countries to promote this global agenda. So according to the experience of the previous polar year, it would make the most sense to do that. There are still people around who participated in preparing it, and we could use their expertise. The previous polar year was conducted in 2007-2008, and most importantly, more than 800 various projects were implemented within this year. And a key feature of this year was not only studying geographical processes in Arctic regions, but studying the entire biosphere and all its aspects. And in addition to that, we suggest adding this Green Deal, the White Deal, to study the cryosphere of the Earth, to create this general picture and involve all stakeholder countries in solving this global problem. The sponsors of the previous polar year was the global organization, and there was a committee. We also created an International Polar Year Committee in Russia, headed by academician Kotlakov. He is still active, and we hope that he will join the efforts of conducting another polar year. The Academy of Sciences, the Ministry of Natural Resources, the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Transportation, and some other agencies participated in the previous polar year. Implementing this interpole format and conducting this International Polar Year will help develop new forms of academic, scientific, technical, trade, economic, and innovative activities. And it would enhance the academic and economic interaction between participating countries to develop useful initiatives for the economies of all countries over the world. The Russian State Hydrometeorological University that I represent within the current instruction from the Ministry of Science and Higher Education, is now developing and regularly updating the Interpol website as a basis for conducting this hearing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Of course, the whole world has been preparing to the International Polar Year. It's in 2032, 2033, but the speed of the development is so fast with digitalization, information. We'll have to get prepared for this huge event right now. And also, I would like to say that next year in 2025 in the United States, there will be a conference on planning Arctic research. They've been preparing for this conference for quite a while. There are working groups in 7 different directions. Please go to the site of the conference and you can actually suggest your own ideas. Here is a request to change something on our agenda. Igor Marchuk, the Dean of the Mathematics and Mechanics Department from the Research Institute, will have to go away for exams. So please let him take the floor and he will talk about digital universities, how to deal with managing a university on the basis of digital data. Dear colleagues, can you see my presentation? Yes. Great. Here is the title, The Digital University, and I will tell you what we do about digitalization in our university. We started about a year ago, and the level of digitalization of our university, well, we have achieved something. We have digitalized some systems, but yet we will have to do quite a lot to reach a breakthrough, to achieve digitalization and management on the basis of our big data. It should be working on all levels of managing our university, and it should be transparent for our partners so that anybody from the outside could see what we do, what projects we undertake, and how we deal with our partners. So yes, we do have integration, we have modular structure, and it is done both for students and for the faculty. And I would like to explain who is going to use the system. Of course, it is for the students, their individual educational trajectories, their programs, and it is also for the faculty, for the professors, for the teachers. And what is important here is to inform what resources we have and what projects we can deal with. And it is for the management of the university. That's the system of support of solutions. And of course, it is for our partners, both from other universities and from industries and from the authorities as well, so that we can pool our resources and we can see what everybody has been doing. We've been working with the current activities. We try to digitalize and automatize and work out recommendations for the current activity, for project activity, and for metadata. Metadata is what facilities we have. And right now we've been concentrating our efforts on project activities because that's the least digitalized yet. And that means that we have quite a potential for development over here, and we can receive results in the fastest way. There are external projects with partners from the outside, and we decide what part of these tasks we can deal with in our university. At the moment, we worked out a system of managing projects that is both about research and education. They are done both by the demands of our partners from the outside, from businesses or industries, from other universities. For example, there are network educational programs, and there are projects initiated by the faculty and the students of our university. And here is the roadmap, how a project can be worked with within the university. As for the projects, I would like to add that we put all the projects into portfolios, and we can subcategorize portfolios into 3 different categories. First, like the direction of our work. Second, where this portfolio is performed. And the third one is portfolios as development projects, such as the Priority 2030, like the engineering school. At the moment, we have projects of different departments, for example, mathematics and mechanics school, cooperating with school students, high school students, and a portfolio of projects dealing with youth. And I have to say that all this work has been conducted within the framework of Youth Mathematical Center, which we have in our university. It was created in 2019, a consortium of mathematical university with other partners, and this is the program envisaging creating mathematical centers of global importance. There are 4 of them, like right now. We have such centers in Moscow, for example, at the Institute of the Applied Mathematics. 2 centers like that in Moscow. There is a center in St. Petersburg and in Novosibirsk. And we also plan to make a portfolio on 2030 priority. We also worked out the first recommendation systems. I have them listed over here. Some of them are based on the artificial intelligence. For example, automatic numbering and issuing numbers to scientific publications, then looking for reviewers for your research work, and automatic creation of a timetable for the whole university. And at the moment, we've been concentrating our efforts on showcasing these projects and making them open, transparent, and easily accessible both for our faculty and students and for our outside partners. And we are going to continue our working according to our plans. What is also important is the BI system that is representing business processes in different, viewable and transparent formats. And as for the infrastructure, it is also important to monitor the financial flows. And there is also the tagging issue, the tagging system, when we issue tags, and then using those tags, we can conduct analysis of different activities. And the final thing is to implement the systems of recommendations for our university and other universities as well. We can work out and implement such a system for your university. And our mathematics center deals also with environmental projects. We've been working together with Kamchatka, working on a system of warning against tsunami, and there is a report prepared on environmental issues connected with energy production. So any projects which involve difficult mathematical tasks, we can undertake. Thank you for your attention. Thank you. And as for digital university, do you have in Russian only, or can you translate it, or can you have it translated in any other languages? Right now, we've been working it out in Russian only. But there is this idea of translating it into English, and I don't think it's going to be a problem. We can do that easily enough. And we can do automatic translation for English users, English language users. And thank you for this idea. But so far we haven't done it yet. But that is because we haven't finished it in Russian yet. And I understand that there are a lot of things for internal use, for domestic use, for example, financial monitoring, but there are also other sectors aimed at attracting partners. Maybe it would be great to have it translated into English, the language of universal communication. Thank you very much. Yes, we will do the showcasing in English, at least that we will do in English. Thank you very much. And now I would like to pass the floor to Andrei Kostin from the Regional and Municipal Management of Academy of Sciences, and he will deal with the analysis using databases. Good morning, dear colleagues. Our university develops not only in terms of infrastructure and IT. We develop and set up new research organizations, and while developing the Institute of Economics and Industry, we started developing a database of knowledge to be able to analyze the Asian part of Russia, including the Arctic zone. So we started with the database, we started collecting data on companies or investments, on deposits, everything we have in the Asian part of Russia. Then we started working with other universities and institutions, and we started making a database on technologies. While working it out, we tried not only to create visual imaging, not only accumulating data, no, we wanted to create a complete database which can be used as instrument, which can be used for modeling, analytics, which would allow us to assess efficiency, for example, of different investment projects implemented on the territory of Russia and which effects they may have on these territories. So everything we've been doing, we connected to GIS, both the data on deposits and data on roads, railroads, the whole transportation infrastructure. All that was linked to map modeling, and we worked out our own maps, which can be used for further modeling. And from the viewpoint of modeling, we created our analytical system when we can choose a territory and receive analytical data on companies working on that territory, which exist on this territory, and you will be able to understand what you deal with, what you have on this territory, what companies work there, what the directions of their work are, and that allows us to ask a question. If we are going to invest into a territory, if we are going to change something within this territory, what's going to influence the growth of a company on this territory? And as we have data on these companies, we made a system of monitoring the influx and outflux of companies on the territory of Tomsk region. For example, we can see in which spheres companies make profit and in which spheres companies start losing money, and what is actually happening on our territory, which allows us to model of clusters, and we can see if we change something on our territory. For example, if we implement an investment project, or if we change taxation, or if we improve some institutions, if we create such institutional changes, we can model which companies will be attracted, which companies will be pushed out from the market. We will see the effects. We also analyzed investment projects, and we created, again, a system of analysis where you can choose a territory and see which investment projects can be implemented on this territory. You can look at their scale, and eventually we can deal with different cases. For example, this is the case of North Siberian Railroad, which goes through several territories, and we can look at the possible infrastructural projects that the companies working on this territory work, for example, in Tyumeny region. But if we look at the investment projects, they mostly concentrate in Krasnoyarsk region. So on the whole, we can give you more details about infrastructural projects. We can look at the location of deposits, location of forest, how accessible the roads are, which effects can we have from different institutional changes. The next step we are going to work out is analyzing effects or consequences. For example, if we build a railroad and development of Siberia in general went along the railroads, along the transportation vessels. When the Trans-Siberian Railroad was built, the development of Siberia went along the Trans-Siberian Railroad. The large companies, the large cities concentrate around transportation infrastructure. And with the help of our analysis of territories, when we break the territories into small blocks and when we study the effects of different changes on the companies, in this way we can assess the efficiency of capital investments. We can see how the climate of development is going to change for the company. So if, for example, we build a new railroad, what is going to happen? Or if we attract so many investments, what's going to happen? How the concentration of companies will change around the new site. If we assess investment projects directly, that is one thing, but the state needs a cumulative effect, a synergy, how this or that project is going to develop a specific territory, how the investment project is going to influence this part of territory, and it is of utmost importance for the Asian part of Russia. So combining machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, and classical methods which we have in our university, inter-industrial analysis, modeling, macroeconomic modeling in general, combining all that, we have been creating a certain complex which allows us to assess investment projects in detail, which allows us to assess their investment potential And we can also speak of suggestions or assumptions we can make about intense development of the Asian part of Russia. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you. That was very interesting.
Докладчиков, поступающих, готовить презентации больше на английском, так как у нас все-таки предполагается.
However, I would ask all other speakers to prepare the slides in English because we have an international panel, and I would like all participants to be able to understand the slides. So you've mentioned the knowledge base, and the previous speaker was also talking about the interpolar knowledge base. So we are moving in the same direction, which is always nice. Next, I'm giving the floor to Mr. Zhao Feng, Associate Professor at the Chinese Ocean University, who will speak about self-supervised learning and its application in Arctic sea ice prediction. So we are moving towards the Northern Ocean. You are welcome.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Gao Feng from Ocean University of China. I will give you a talk on self-supervised learning and its application in Arctic sea ice prediction. This is the content of my talk. Recently, there have been many frequently mentioned buzzwords of self-supervised learning, contrastive learning. They do not require many labels. They tell something that models do not need to be constrained by labels and their potentials can be explored by themselves. This is the MoCo model first presented in the paper Momentum Contrast for Unsupervised Visual Representation Learning, and it uses a dictionary as a cue for contrastive learning. This is our recent work, nearest neighbor-based contrastive learning for multi-source data classification. That's two problems for hyperspectral and LiDAR data classification. The first is the data augmentation scheme. The second is the heterogeneous gap. We use a framework for nearest neighbor-based data augmentation that we can see that there's if some samples are very near, their features are near in the feature space. So we use this nearest neighbor information in the encoder and to improve the classification performance. The input samples are handled by random data augmentation, and in a mini batch, half positive key samples are substituted by its nearest neighbors. This is the workflow of our proposed method. And in addition, a bilinear attention filter model is employed to capture the second order feature interactions between multi-source data. And it also helps to improve the classification performance. We found that after pre-training, the features of the same class distributed close to each other, and the features of the different classes move far away from each other. It's evident that our supervised framework is effective on all the data. This is the classification results of different methods. We can see that our method performs better. And this is also the visualized results. It's evident that our most proposed method achieves the best performance. Second, we have some applications on sea surface temperature prediction and sea ice prediction. Ocean numerical models are used frequently for many variables prediction. There's a deviation between the results predicted by numerical models and the actual observed values. We recently have work for sea surface temperature prediction. We integrated the physical knowledge into the model. there are many factors to influence the marine environmental variables, and many physical mechanisms are clear. So we plan to learn the physical knowledge from historical observation data to compensate for the limitations of numerical models. This is the workflow of our plan. Very low. This is the qualitative in predicted results comparisons. We can see that by calibrating the physical characteristics in the numerical model data, the accuracy of ocean surface temperature predictions have been improved. Also, we have a preliminary work for Arctic sea ice prediction. It's based on SimVP. Here, SimVP is a simple video prediction model that is completely built upon the convolutional neural networks and trained by MSE laws in an end-to-end fashion. It uses the sequence for sequence data, and also it predicts the next T sequence data. We use the model for Arctic sea ice prediction. This is the predicted result for the next 40 days. The MAE between the predicted prediction result and the ground truth is less than 2%. We are attempting to improve the model to further improve the predictive performance. This is our preliminary network. We will improve the result better in our recently model. Now I have tell something about our future work. Now the foundation model is very popular. We need new data sets, and most recent models are based on deep networks. How to integrate physical knowledge is a question, and also multi-source data is very important to improve the results of prediction, Arctic sea ice prediction. For example, we have many sensors such as hyperspectral image, LiDAR, or infrared data. This multi-source data can improve the scalability and practical value of our model. It's also a challenge or the opportunity. Okay, thank you for your attention. This is my talk. Our codes and data are available on the GitHub. Thank you.
Спасибо большое, господин Гао Фэнг. Я абсолютно уверен, что ваши исследования...
Thank you very much, Mr. Gao Feng. I'm sure your research would be very interesting for Arctic members of our forum. So if we may, we would like to publish your presentation and all presentations of our today's session on the website of the Arctic Forum, so that everyone could use this information in their day-to-day work. Again, we have a slight change in the agenda. So Mr. Sanjay Singh, Associate Professor from Delhi University, has to join another event later. So I would like to give the floor to him now, who will talk about management and future digital campuses. And I'm sure it will have many things in common with our with the speech by Mr. Kostin from Novosibirsk. Mr. Singh, you are welcome.
Да, мы
Hello,
вас... Yes, we can see you.
hello. Yeah. Morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Да,
Oh,
мы вас
okay.
видим, слышим, хорошо.
We can see and hear you very well.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the this slot, the emergency, and everybody in the forum. I welcome, and I've been hearing some of the exciting talks, and the last talk was pretty exciting, and using the technology and the trying to predict the right amount of information for the betterment of the society. Anyway, I come from a different background from University of Delhi, and we have been working on setting up a different kind of ecosystem, which is not new, but I think which is need of the hour, and every higher education institution is talking about it. So I would like to share some of the slides and with you so that you have a better understanding. Just a minute. I hope my screen is visible.
Not yet.
Uh-oh. Let me just...
Да, мы пока не видим презентацию.
Okay, let
We
me
cannot
just
see the
try
slides
again.
yet.
У вас есть, да? У нас есть ваша презентация.
We have your slides, and our tech support team can now put it on the screen. Oh, now we can see it. Okay, now we can see it.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Господин Сингх,
So
техническая...
there is
Mr.
this slide.
Singh.
Just give me 30 seconds. I'll be with you. My apologies for this. Oh, I hope it works now.
Да, видим. Все.
Yes, we can see it
Thank you.
now.
Thank you. I'm talking about the e-governance and the digital education mechanism and the workflows in the higher academies in India. As you may be aware of that, in India, we have thousands of the universities, and somehow these universities fall under different jurisdictions, and they fall in different categories, and they somehow take different routes to manage their information and the technology framework. So the idea is today's interaction is to just give you a little idea and what kind of technologies we are working and how the same technologies based on open source and standards, we are able to penetrate more than 5,000 institutions across the country. So this is what we are talking about, the web governance in higher education. And this governance model describes how to manage an online presence in controlled and orderly manner. And also the stability, what you need to focus on online goals. I think all the institutions across the world, they are working to achieve the better benchmarks. And the idea behind this is the right people with the right skills and the right team and the right roles following the right process with the right tools and right budget. So keeping in mind that we in our university, we started working on this and working on the pain areas, understanding them, and created the workflow which we presented to the Government of India and categorized all the workflows in different aspects and created the framework, and we are calling it Samarth eGov system. So right now, all the central universities of the country, they are governed by this and manage this. So the idea behind this is to bring in the uniformity and giving the real-time information using all the latest and emerging technologies, whether it's AI or ML or the blockchain and all that. And that is how we are collaborating with the G25 countries. And the first implementation is happening in Mauritius. So, and many other countries are also taking part in it. So I'll quickly run through the slides where, different kind of components of the e-governance framework, which are tightly integrated with the technology and we are achieving the desired results. So the leadership, development, maintenance, and infrastructure is at the top level component, and these are further connected with the technology, the people, the process, the tools, and the budget. And that is how the ideal role of the technology is to bring all the stakeholders with the processes and tightly integrated together. So the manpower skills, roles, responsibilities, team forming, and policies, technology, and system and software tools, and then, of course, the other components of the human resources. So scale helps you to balance activity and resource into a governance configuration that really works for the institution. So this is what quickly I would like to summarize in the deployment architecture on-premise, self-hosted, and the self-managed, and it's purely based on open source and open standard. And this is the deployment architecture where we have right now more than 500 institutions and the universities on the same platform, and there is no technology overhead for the institution, so they don't have to struggle in terms of managing the infrastructure, and they can scale up any service, they can provide any service any point of time without delaying the process. This is again the representation of the hybrid architecture, and this is the workflow of how the services architecture have been deployed on the Samarth eGov, and every institution is covered under that. So this is the footprint of Samarth, is the pan-India impact, and more than right now the 5,000 institutions are there. This is simplifying governance and all. So the crux is the what is the how we are switching to this. So is why to do this? Is it feasible? What does it involve? And how do we go about it? And who is going to help me out? So that is how we have created this community around, and it's of course very much possible, very much feasible, and we have to help each other and other institutions. They're joining hands to make this as a complete ecosystem. So I'll just finish it by saying that first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and you win. Thank you so much. I'll stop sharing now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Singh. It has been a very interesting presentation. We are really looking forward to Jawaharlal Nehru University of Delhi becoming a part of the Russian-Indian Consortium of Arctic Studies, and your experience of creating such a digital platform will be extremely useful for developing international cooperation within our consortium. And I'm perfectly convinced that we will be able to create this shared network. And Andrei Kostin and you, Mr. Singh, can become some of the key participants of this consortium. Thank you very much for your active participation and for finding the time in your busy schedule.
The next participant is Mrs. Yi Yun-Su, Vice President of the Dalian Information University Yun-Su and the Director of the Dalian Association of the Artificial Intelligence. You are welcome.
Thank you. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can see it very well.
Well, dear representatives, good afternoon. I'm Li Yingqiu from Dalian Newsoft University of Information. Today, I would like to share DNUI's efforts transform IT higher education with digital technology. Well, digital technology, especially artificial intelligence, is increasingly becoming a global consensus in empowering the development of education. Recently, China's Minister of Education, Huai Jinpeng, pointed out that the artificial intelligence empowerment action will be implemented to promote the deep integration of intelligent technology with education, teaching, and scientific research. And on March 5th, Artificial Intelligence Plus was first included in China's government work report. It can be said that AI has brought unprecedented opportunities and challenges to higher education. Well, our founder, Newsoft, is an industry-leading information technology, products and solutions company for global market. Newsoft possesses leading positions in the fields of smart city, healthcare, intelligent vehicle connectivity, enterprise digital transformation, as well as international software services. Well, at the same time, Newsoft is also an enthusiastic practitioner in IT higher education. Over the years, Newsoft has founded 3 IT universities and created an ecosystem of digital talent education that providing IT education solutions and services to over 500 higher education institutions. Well, our university, DNUI, stands in the center of Newsoft education ecosystem and is also the frontier of digital education innovations. Founded in 2000, DNUI is now the top 3 private university in China and 20,000 students. Our programs are deliberately designed to form 5 programs clusters that reflect the emerging IT sectors and could support cross-disciplinary collaborations among students and faculty. While Newsoft Education Science Park is where the dynamic mechanism takes place. It focuses on information technology and healthcare technology and has attracted 59 companies, creating a total value of 2.73 billion yuan annually. Well, the development of AI, big data, IoT, and other emerging digital technologies enable us to build a smarter education environment, which aims to provide a multifunctional, interactive, and service-oriented campus, thereby achieving continuous improvement in teaching quality and learning outcomes. To build the smart campus, we have updated the software and hardware information infrastructure, including network, data center, systems, and IoT classroom facilities. To process the storage, sharing, digging, and analyzing of the massive data collected from IoT equipment and management systems, we also set 2 data centers on our campus with 500 high-performance servers. Our smart education platform provides the function including curriculum and syllabus management, blended learning, project training, quality assurance, and so on. While the platform is also equipped with big data and AI to collect, analyze, implement, and present data generated from teachers, students, and administrators that are using the platform. And meanwhile, different users of the platform could also receive customized data analysis report to help improve their performance and make plans. Well, here is an example of the smart education platform presenting the learning profile of students with data visualization graphics that automatically generated by the platform. Well, in addition to that, the platform also provides intelligent reminders, academic warnings, and personalized learning resource recommendation for students to learn independently. Well, we are glad that our solution could also help other institutions to solve their problems. Until now, there are more than 500 higher education institutions are using our systems, platform, and digital resource. DNUI has made preliminary explorations and practice in the application of smart education. Well, in the context of the era of globalization and informatization, the digitalization and the intellectualization of education can not only improve the quality of education and promote educational equity, but also cultivate talents with innovative capabilities and an international perspective for the northern regions, promoting the sustainable economic and social development of the area. The Northern Forum is committed to contributing to the development of education in the northern regions and even globally through international cooperation, sharing knowledge and experience, and jointly exploring innovative paths in the digitalization and intellectualization of education. Well, this aligns with the Northern Forum's mission of improving the quality of life and supporting sustainable development. Okay, that's all. Thank you for your attention. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Lee. That was a very interesting, a very impressive presentation, and the scale of your work is huge. And of course, we do hope that we will be able to establish a long-term cooperation with you, and thank you very much for the words of your support for the Northern Forum. We've been searching for new innovative approaches to ensure sustainable development goals within our regions and for development of international cooperation on all levels. And we do hope that you will be able to participate in the work of our international expert working group on international technologies agenda. So thank you very much for all that. And then we will go over to our offline participants. Nikolai Aprosimov, the head of the project office of Ayan Company. The floor is yours. Good afternoon. So I greeted you in Evenk language, in the Russian language, and in English. Today I would like to share with you some ideas about our project. We will have a very short video for 4 minutes, and then there will be presentation. The Ayan project, that's the first example when the artificial intelligence was used for languages of indigenous people. That's an example of brilliant ideas and of implementing these ideas. And it took us very little time to go from idea to implementation. There have been...
Sorry, we have a black screen. Sorry, there's nothing.
And I think that in this video you will be able to see, but first we will have to see this video. Can you?
Okay, it's working now. It's working.
Technologies are like bridges. They connect the past and the future. They give new life to indigenous languages. They are like guardians. They preserve every word, every sound, so that these languages do not become extinct. Artificial intelligence is a very powerful tool which helps us to preserve the languages of indigenous minorities. Our team tries to use machine learning, and our Ayana project implemented many ambitious ideas. Here is a review of what we have done. In 2021, we made a mobile application for translation from Russian to the Evenk language. That's the first occurrence in the world when we started talking in Evenk in applications. There is this mobile application translating from Evenk to Russian. 2022, after the development of that application, we received a lot of suggestions how to improve that. And we used native speakers to make a database of sentences and phrases. And there is right now Ayana offline project. And you can use the Evenk language in smartphones, in like applications similar to Siri. 2023, indigenous peoples of the Taimur Peninsula received applications translating into other indigenous languages. Every application is unique in design, and using this concept, we developed projects for other indigenous languages. Native speakers of those languages participated in that, and it enabled us to promote preservation of these indigenous languages. In 2024, Ayana project has been developing in Krasnoyarsk. It is supported by the local association of indigenous peoples. And we continue our research and we strengthen our links with Yakutia region. And we've been working out an application for the Yakut language. It is called iCore project, and it's being developed together with the Arctic Linguistic Laboratory of the Yakutian University. While developing the project, we conduct a lot of work in speech synthesis to generate speech which is sounds less artificially, and that is what our team has been doing for 2 years. These technologies and traditions are like meeting of the two worlds, the world of traditional wisdom and of contemporary technology. And artificial intelligence is our ally in preserving languages of indigenous peoples, and these languages are windows to understanding the unique culture of these people, and these people acquire their own voice in the contemporary world where every language matters. So, as you may have seen in this video, we have done a lot, and we've discovered wonderful consequences for these indigenous people. This project initiated similar solutions based on artificial intelligence. Can we put our presentation on? I will rush through the presentation. How we created this project. The first one was the Evenk language, my language, and we have a lot of universal words over there. And we used artificial intelligence. We used a huge database, and the artificial intelligence could find words. For example, in the Evenk language, there may be some words missing, which we have in Russian. For example, the words which reflect realia, for example, oak. We do not have oaks in the Evenk region, and we don't have a word, but the artificial intelligence understands that it's a kind of a tree, so it gives translation a tree into the Evenk language. So we use different libraries, different technologies, and we are working at the artificial intelligence to be able to understand the Evenk language and translate it into Russian. And we understand that if we do it only in the mobile application, we won't be able to work with the language properly. So we've been trying to broaden our work, and we understand that it should be of interest. It should include some motivation, not only for researchers, not only for linguistics, scientists, but it should be of interest for ordinary people. And we can use artificial intelligence to make commands in this language, for example, to play some games, to put on some songs. And we would like to continue our work in this direction, in this format. And I also would like to say that I love technologies. Well, many of us love in technologies and believe in the opportunities provided by those technologies for us. And the indigenous peoples of Yakutia, Canada, Africa, well, the Evenk people, the most interesting thing we have is our code, our culture, our language, and this is a huge repository of knowledge and data for the artificial intelligence. So the artificial intelligence may help us to preserve our heritage and give it to the other people in the world, which will enrich the language heritage, linguistic heritage of our great country. Thank you very much. So you still have this presentation, right? And tomorrow I'm going to make a speech at the session of supporting the languages of indigenous peoples. And I would make use of your presentation. And of course, I would add something. I would add information about Ayana from you. And here is Mr. Dodia from Dodia Enterprises. You are welcome.
And it's very wonderful to see so many nationalities all together in one platform to come up with some new ideas and their experience while implementing and the hurdles which they have being facing, So AI is nowadays, it's very vast area, actually, when it comes to implementation, there can be so many hurdles. In the case where you are working with the AI, I would rather make it a term where you should rather work with the machine learning and testing with the mathematical modeling, because it's math that is involved everywhere in terms of when it comes to implementing science in the real life. So here in this case, while attending the conference, I came to know that there are so many organized way of dealing with the data, and the governments are working into various e-governance platforms. And I try to collect as many information.
Sorry, guys, the sound is terrible. We can't hear the presentation.
Voice. Okay. So, can you hear me?
No, it's very, very, very low. Sorry.
Okay. So, they will try to improve. Meanwhile, I'll try to continue with the presentation. Is it okay?
I don't think your speaker is working. Sorry.
I need to change the slide. Okay, so I can use that one. It's fair enough, but they need to use the PPT first. I'll use this one. So this would be fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, better.
Better.
And now it works. Now it's working. Yeah.
Great. Meanwhile, while attending this conference, I came across various applications and the policy made by the government in terms of e-governance and focusing on the betterment of the education and the investments they are making, and they are trying to make more AI implementations also in the fintech industry. Meanwhile, I came to realize that we should more also focus on the transition that has happened, the reasons that were favorable for the transition in creation of more information for us that lead to the AI to come out with and evolve in last 2-3 years. So here I'm trying to take examples where I can actually advise the government, in fact, to implement or try to focus on few things that I even personally have experienced in terms of implementation of the uses of websites and other things. It doesn't work, it seems. No. Okay, so there is some technical error, but yes, it's responding now, it seems. Okay, so I'll start with my presentation, and meanwhile, I'll also try to come up with some overview and information that can be maybe useful to the Arctic regions where they are looking for some development, as well as in terms of e-governance for the Russian government. So since this agenda being of the BRICS and the SEO countries, which are participating to come up with a holistic approach to touch the various aspects of technology transfer, as well as implementation of the AI in making their lives and information systems better. Meanwhile, also they are trying to work on quantum technology and coming up with more cloud computing things. So we have here so many information. So big data now is existing in Russia, but I will come up with advising to this area later on when I touch the end of the slides. So here are like a few examples from the BRICS where AI has been fruitful for many people. Like in India, we have Ritu, who is basically just like the people in the Nomad. They are trying to more work on the handcraft they stayed at home mostly because of the climate and other factors and availability of the resources. So they mostly similarity, we can see that the same job profiles can be observed in that regions. So you can use, in this case, you can, when you're working with the man-made crafts, you can use the AI driven. And similarly, this the lady from the Ritu from Bangalore, she was able to come up with increase in the sales by coming up with better suggestions where the people who are the users coming to the website, they can buy, and her sales could increase by 30%. Similarly, when you work with the process of management of the inventories as well as the fast use of the fintech, because this is overall process which are interlinked. I will give an example of Beijing company which could use this technology for increasing their organized way of dealing with the information systems and could reduce the cost. So in this aspect, the China come up with a new innovative practices, and I could also observe that the China was the only country that couldn't face much recession when it was the time of the COVID. In fact, they actually could grow better in terms of digital aspects and increase in the sales. That I'll touch in the next slides. And also the use being done by a Brazilian company, which they have been using at the best technology like AWS for understanding the implementation of their cost efficiency and come up with better suggestions for the user. So because of the world getting constrained into better application and better research in terms of users experience. So here is like nowadays people often can actually use the cloud computing services of AWS, not so costly because of the competition. So this is one of the aspects of digital application. Just like in Russia, we have the application of, if you see in Russia, the Yandex map works far better. And if you work with the translator, even me as a person, I have experience like when I use the Google Translator, it gives me different translation than the Yandex. In this aspect, the Yandex has been far better implementing the machine learning algorithm in terms of mathematical modeling. And so I generally prefer Yandex in here. And also, they have been very effective in implementation of various CV methods and computer vision methods and voice assistants as well. In the self-driving car, they are also been effective. So this is an example of one of the big country, Russia, which is now kind of leader in this area. And we have the application of VR by the Chinese company to have, so we all know about AliExpress that they have been using the augmented reality and the VR in terms of implementation of the customer, increasing the user experience. So here in this case, I would like to come up with a suggestion for application of VR and augmented reality for places in northern indigenous people who are actually, government has been coming up with so many educational implementation. I would also suggest the implementation of VR and AR in terms of developing this region so that they can, the students can get a better experience in learning. I also could generalize this one with the use of VR. Suppose in the best example of this would be in the medical practices where students are often facing they are much more practical. So they need to experience this thing, like suppose there is a person in Moscow and the one is in St. Petersburg. So the students cannot, drastically change the university, but they can definitely have the experience, which can be very similar. And this is the reason I would suggest that the gap of education fulfillment in the remote areas of Russian Federation, and also in terms of maintaining the standard transparency and equality, it would be really great if there is a implementation of virtual reality and augmented reality in terms of coming up with better stimulation methods and exercises for the people who are living in the outskirt area of Russian Federation, so called the Northern Indigenous people. So this is one of the way I wanted to. I also, since it's an education, I would like to suggest one of my experience which I came across when I was working on a project with the World Bank investment for developing the standard of industrial training institutions in India. So here, the problem with the AI, when you fetch the information, it's like a process. When you fetch the information from the ground reality, it works best and better, and it can be improved. But when you have little information about the ground reality, so I would rather more focus on when you're trying to do a ground research on implementation of AI or machine learning applications. So in this case, when I was working with this project, I came to realize that there were various trades, trades in terms of the names of the requirements of a particular area. So suppose you can take an example of Khanty-Mansiisk and the nearby area. I would suggest the government to come up with some special places in the regions that can be actually considered at one particular place, and considering about the industrial implementation and overall standard of that region, I would suggest that Russian government could come up with some specialized vocational training depending on the place, because it cannot generalize that certain places will have what kind of industrial standards and the requirements of employments and all. So this vocational training, which I would suggest, would be much more about understanding the requirements of the companies and come up with trade, which can actually advise the government to come up during the preschool itself at the age of 16 to 18, so that the nomad people or the indigenous people who are actually depending on the livestock life, where they are working with mostly with the livestock things, and they're also trying to follow the things which are there in the generations existing since long time. So I would rather try to make them to survive better and earn better with a kind of public-private partnership at the ground level, specifically for the northern indigenous people, by scattering them into various zones where they can come up with better programs of vocational training. This could be 6 months, 1 year, or maybe 2 years, so that they can actually, in reality, they can get the skills which they actually need to live in that place. So this is one of the suggestions which I thought I should give it to government. Again, going further, so I just try to explain you the transition, why suddenly there has been a leverage in the AI application and big data and the complex situation has been created. Considering the BRICS countries, we have BRICS countries as an example, and especially when it comes to China, we could observe that during the time of COVID and after COVID, there was 45% of increase in the people going from in the use of the internet. And if you see, these are the situation of, and I've collected this from the International Telecommunication website. And here you can see that, that the country of BRICS, they have just increment. And it actually sharing most of the world population, like 67% of the world population are actually from the BRICS. And also the fact that there are 2.6 billion people still offline, and that can actually be targeted to come up with new e-governance and proper government enterprise architecture. to manage and organize it at one place. Going further, I would also say that so in fact, if you take an example of China, during the time of the COVID, the China is the only country which was we thought of like there's a pandemic and there has to be some downfall, but it's actually it came up with growth of 2.3% during the time of COVID. So basically, these are all because we are more and more holistically coming up with new applications and understanding of informations and coming with the conferences like this, which doesn't stop but increase the understanding and improve the standard and the process, the transparency while implementing the policy and the governance of the country. So this is the one of the thing which I wanted to discuss about the foundation in general. So these are all the scheme which I was saying that were implemented during the time of the COVID, which actually has been useful to the countries which have come up with better growth during the COVID time and post-COVID. So this is just an example of emerging technologies like that came into existence with the use of, in India, we had fast payment methods. So we have so complicated and like complicated businesses and unorganized business as well. But when you have a person who doesn't need a license to do a business until you have manpower of 11 and more, we don't need to require a license. And you can actually go on the street, and if you want to sell something, you can just sell anyone with your handmade products or anything else, and then they can actually get the payment just with a QR code. So in India, this technology has also proven very fruitful results in the most of the poor African countries, and also solved the dilemmas of the transactions, and it's very effectively implemented. And about the supply chain, in terms of implementation of logistics services, I also came to understanding that if we are trying to mix more of the computer vision, as our colleagues here who were trying to present before, they have so many extraordinary computer vision and applications of image recognition, and in terms of NLP application, it can come up with the best solutions in the north of Russia, where they're dealing with the most logistic and logistic transportation that can actually leverage the transaction, effectively try to reduce the transaction cost and leverage the number of shipments that can take place in the north of Russia. So the projects can be very fruitful, as per my understanding, in the north. Other understanding which I came across while touching this one, I don't want to miss anything in a case, because this is like a platform where people should be informed about everything so that they can clearly take a necessary decision in implementation of AI. Also, this has been proven result because of the low barrier and low capital investment that are taking place. So these are all the ground things which are also required by the implementation of AI. And this is the one which I came across, which it can be noted that, and this has the results of the fact that the countries which are actually encouraging the innovative thoughts and entrepreneurship and investments into the startups, these are the countries which can be observed as they are actually giving the space in reality to the development of education and their governance to come up with a better startup. So that's I can say that education systems are also best, even if you see in terms of implementation. So here it's like 52% there was a increase of that. This is the top 10 countries which have come up with the best unicorn. And in India also we have some good tech startup which are actually come up with a very good invention by using machine learning algorithms. Indian people are mostly into mathematics, so they try to work on machine learning more. So these are just for the information I collected from McKinsey. About the talent. So what about what I came into understanding about, there is a perception of the people when you try to implement an AI. So the people who are already working and they think that they will lose a job. So their perspective about work, their work will be lost because of the AI that has to be answered in a proper manner, in realistic manner as well. And about use of the robots in the implementation that could be given a better result until and unless it is being properly tested, and the people who are working with the jobs which are at the low profile. I'll give you here is the example. This is from McKinsey. They have been doing a research on various sectors, and in these sectors, it's like they try to understand the activities that has taken place, like more than 2,000 in 800 occupation. They could find that if you see at the bottom, agriculture, accommodation, and food services, if you see these are the places where you require more of physical work. And if we are implementing AI, I would rather show the result as the best implementation over AI that can be made. If you see at the top in terms of the fintech application that have come into existence, the application of AI chatbot, because these are the space where you don't actually have to use any of your physical or manpower. So we can actually come up with better projects by looking at this information in terms of implementation of governance. And moving further, I would come up with one more information that in terms of e-governance and digital transformation changes, I wanted to suggest a few things where I came across while discussing yesterday and listening to some speech on e-governance by the digital head of the IT in Russian Federation. I came across certain basic hurdles and also the good things, like we are trying to develop and they're trying to be partner with other countries and come up with a better solution by regularly discussing and updating information and all. In these, I would rather also suggest them to come up with a multilingual platform which can be useful for their technology transfer. People who are actually going to take advice of their e-governance. So multilingual platform is actually much more required. So at the end of testing and implementation of e-governance website, there could be multilingual platform that could be shown to the other countries who are trying to get inspiration from their e-governance. I also see that 90% of e-governance in Russia services are being transformed with the use of AI and leading to a social technology and change. And about e-governance as well, I had one suggestion which I wanted to specifically give. So while trying to search on the website of e-governance, where actually the norms are like this: if you want to file some feedback or some complaint, you need to go online. And I wonder, when I was using the website, I came across that the fact that the people who are trying to file the complaint, they have a little understanding, because people will not try to read all the laws and doesn't have the information about all the laws at the same time. And regular updates of the laws also are not being informed, or they have less information about it as well. So what I came to know, that when they are filling up the complaint in the box where they are trying to write the complaint, I would suggest that they should be known, being very much more transparent in terms of governance. They should be also known with the use of AI, that they can be suggested with the best their laws, which are actually, so while typing at the bottom, they can come up with the new AI suggestion, where the AI can suggest which are the best laws, or what are the laws they are that are existing and that can be useful and can be added while they are complaining or they are trying to fill up the complaint. So this can actually be very useful for the users who are trying to give feedback to come up with
Time.
Yes, yes,
Please.
please. So yeah, so this is one of the suggestion, and the use of AI can actually bring a transparency in this case. And also the government can try to come up with updated information, because the collection of the information will be in the right manner. So implementation of this in this platform of e-governance is really needed, which can be use also the use of NLP in this, like chatbots and document analysis can be done. BERT and GPT can be used. Also the policy resources can be implemented with the prediction analysis in this field. I also observed that identification and verification of the digital transactions and digital verification can be also be done by blockchain and the smart contract in this case. And digital mining and analysis are the part of, no doubt, big data, but also CNN Open CV can come up with better explanation to the government about the complaints and come up with better laws. So this is the only thing. There's so many information I wanted to share, but anyways, this is fine.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Dodya. Да, я понимаю, что всем хотелось бы побольше рассказать, побольше поделиться.
Большое спасибо, господин Додя. I understand that a lot can be said about that, and it's our first meeting only, and there will be a number of other meetings as well. And I would like to pass the floor to our reliable partner from Iceland, the director of Arctic Portal, Haldur Johansson.
Thank you, my friend Vladimir. Thank you all for attending this important meeting. I've had the pleasure of working with the Northern Forum for a substantial time. And we have for a very long time discussed the importance of e-commerce and improving especially small and medium business opportunities in the North, and how we can improve information quality and transmission of the information, very much in the line of what the previous speakers have been mentioning. So it's all music in my ears, you can say, because it's something that we really need to move forward. However, it's been a complication to get to there, because as also mentioned by some of the speakers, there's a certain lack of understanding within governance of the importance. And of course, the biggest constraint that we have been facing so far is finding funding and long-term funding to actually implement those things in an intelligent way. So I very much welcome this discussion, and I look forward to the expert group on this issue. But I would encourage all participants to put their heads together to think, okay, how can we take all these different components that are so important and connect them? And how can we find a way to actually not just talk about it, but actually find a way to implement? And then again, it comes to sustainable funding that we could find. So any ideas, any comments on that, I think would be extremely beneficial, because it's so important, whether it comes to education, whether it comes to preservation of languages, helping small and medium business, as pointed out in some of those previous talks. E-commerce is the way forward, and we in principle, I think, all know that. It's just like I've been saying, how do we find a way? At the Northern Forum, I have presented a similar concept for too long, and we have try to move this forward by, for example, establishing the Northern Forum Foundation, which we saw as a certain opportunity. And again, that might be the platform that we can use. We have to attract intelligent people from both private and public organizations that are ready to and do see the big picture, as I think we all that are together in this seminar see that this is of vital importance to advance. So I look forward to the expert group. I would be very happy to take part in such an expert group. And again, I think this is an extremely interesting step forward. I'm sorry that I couldn't be personally in presence due to some personal issues, but I welcome this discussion extremely and look forward to advancing it. I'll do my best, and I'll be happy to share my my previous work on this issue. We started before AI. Now we have AI that can really help us. But AI, of course, on its own, it's not the key. It's a tool that we can use. And it has to be dealt with, of course, with intelligence as well. So we don't have the problem of computer says no at some point. We have to be in control no matter what. So Vladimir, thank you for organizing all this. Thank you for allowing me to say a few words. I'm happy to take part in discussion, both online and offline. And again, I'm very happy to see the amount of intelligence that has been gathered together within and knowledge that has been gathered within this seminar. So thank you very much, and good luck to all of you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, my dear friend Havrov. Havrov is a great partner of the Northern Forum, and I would like to note that Arctic Portal for hosting an organization of our website. Arctic Portal just serves many international Arctic organizations just serving their websites, and this is a huge portal. And I am very thankful to you for your words, supporting words on creation of our new expert group on IT. Хорошо, я перехожу на русский, чтобы нашим друзьям из других стран было понятно.
So I will go over into Russian so our friends understand, and I hoped we would have some time for open discussion, for questions, and I thought we would end before our time, but of course everybody wanted to present as much as possible about their work and speak about prospects of our cooperation. But very soon there will be another session. We should elect our leader, and it's very difficult to work at the very first session. So I would suggest so I would like all the participants of our session to support the idea of setting up a working group so that we could actually keep on working together as a separate working group, and within the next few months we should set up this expert working group. We should discuss different forms of work, maybe some projects we could promote within the framework of our group. And for offline participation, I would like to suggest September. 24th, 28th of September in Yakutsk, there will be the 5th International Forum on Sustainable Development. It's our own platform. It's about goals of sustainable development, how we can reach them in the Arctic region. This time, it's the vitality, survivability of the towns in the Arctic. So this is a very good topic for our forum. There will be regional authorities, federal authorities, municipal authorities presented over there, universities, non-commercial, non-profit organization, and we can continue on our conversation in more detail. And I do hope that all of you may come to the city of Yakutsk, and we will be sitting together and we will speak at length about our further cooperation. But at the same time, before that forum, it would be great if we could have a series of online conversations. So I would be expecting your suggestions. I would be looking forward to your suggestions, what we can discuss online. I understand that July and August can be a period of vacations, but if you have any suggestions, I would be happy to cooperate with that and discuss all that with you. And right now, I would like to listen to you and hear whether you support setting up an international expert working group. So who is for that? Who is against that? I would like all our participants to share their views, and we will start with offline participants. So what do you think?
I think it's very wonderful to have so many people here sharing their so much information and idea, and I would thank you all again for being the wonderful, doing wonderful research and coming up with so many suggestions. Thank you so much.
We are ready. We are ready to participate in this working group of experts.
Are you ready to be a member of this newly created expert group on IT?
Sure, it would be really wonderful experience because I especially have a keen interest in the Arctic region and its development.
Thank you. Nikolai Abrosimov.
Nikolai Abrosimov, what about you? Thank you very much for your suggestion. On the whole, I think that is a huge responsibility. It's my subjective opinion. I think yes, we can do that because that's our vector of work. And it deals with the governmental interests as well. Online participants, please share your views whether you support creation of this expert working group. Do you have any personal interest, any desire to participate in this work? Please. Or should I ask you by name?
Well, I can, if you allow me, Vladimir. I think I'm very ready to take part, and I think this initiative is extremely important. As I mentioned before, this is something that we have discussed for a long time, and I see from the the people that you have managed to gather for this meeting. The level of knowledge and the actual projects is very high. So I think now is a good opportunity. There's an opportunity in education. There's an opportunity in finance. There's definitely an opportunity when it comes to culture. So I'm very ready. I think the proposal to have some online meetings before September is great. I think you should propose maybe a meeting once a month. It's impossible that everybody can join, but those who can then will join, and that will be a way to get to know each other, get to share some ideas, and then when we meet in end of September, then we are more acquainted with each other and have more understanding of the opportunities ahead of us. So I think you should take the leadership, my friend.
Хорошо. Тогда, значит,
Good.
дорогие друзья,
Dear friends, colleagues, if you keep silent, I would interpret it as your consent. If you have nothing to say against that, I would suggest that we consider this creation of the International Expert Group as a fact, and until September, we will hold online consultations with you. We will inform you about all the dates of our online meetings. We will coordinate everything with you. We will discuss what we can talk about, and I do hope that in September we will be able to see many of you. I'm not saying that these experts will be responsible for working out all the plans. No, these are experts who are just interested in working together. I think that we will be consulting each other regularly, and sometimes we will be able to invite regional governmental authorities. They can tell us what they need from us to continue our work on the regional level, how to promote digitalization into the territories. And today we heard presentation from the leaders of Khanty-Mansiysk region. We will continue doing so that they will share their demands or what they are interested in that. If other regions, if other territories are also interested in inviting some experts, we will be open to that. So I don't think that we have to plan everything right now. No, we will be discussing that. Maybe so far we do not have any specific exact parameters, but we will have regular online meetings which will be very helpful both for us and for regional governments. And that is quite the mission, the task for the Northern Forum, to open up a platform for further collaboration, further cooperation. We are not saying that we will do this by September, we will do that by December. No, so far we are just talking about further discussions. And I'm pleased to say that we had people from different sectors today. We had people from the government, and we've had people from the universities, from research institutions. We had representatives of indigenous communities. So it was quite a synergy, and I'm happy that Haldor was pleasantly impressed or even shocked by the level of expertise. I'm just a public figure from the governmental authorities. I cannot assess your level of expertise. So I'm very pleased that you are so experienced in your field. Well, if everybody agrees to this, we would like to conclude and thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I am thankful to you for your very interesting presentations. It was very fruitful, and I'm amazed at the scale of work of some of you. and some of your work is so complicated that I may not even comprehend the depth of it, but it is of great interest for sure. So until the end of June, we will send you a very short resume, précis of kind of minutes of our discussion over here. And if you agree upon that, we will send it to the chairman of the Northern Forum and to the representatives of all the regions working in our forum. And then we will establish the date of our online meeting, and we will be working during our online session. So thank you very much once again, and I wish you luck and fruitful work. There will be a very important task for you to have very good rest during the summer. So please have very good work and very good rest. Thank you very much, and goodbye.